Welcome back. We are ending the third combat round with just a bit of tidying up to do. Previously in the round, Shreesha here made a sprint toward a stand of trees but came up a few steps short, which gave the Alhoon a chance to cast Mind Blast at her. But she expertly saved against the spell and is just fine for her next turn coming up in the fourth round. All we have left is to flip this die here from 2 to 1. And that counts down to when the Heroes of Fanlin members Janos, Bet Valnich, and Kosif Bursk will arrive on the table. So they will now enter in round 5. Alright, so round 4 begins with Shreesha again. She will remain invisible and simply continue to move into the trees. Alright, so what we see here on the table in terms of this little forested area is it looks pretty easy, but I'm going to roll to see if difficult terrain will apply here. On the ground in her world, it may be that there is a lot of underbrush and difficult things to move through. If you get into difficult terrain, you basically move half. So I'm not going to stack the probability one way or the other. We're just going to roll to see if this is difficult terrain. So that will be the question. So it's a yes. It is difficult terrain. Alright, so that means her normal 30 feet of movement. I'm just going to move these trees out of the way so we can measure here. Her normal 30 feet of movement will be halved from 6 inches to 3 inches, which will get her to about there. And then if she dashes, if she takes a dash action, it looks like she will have plenty of distance. One more thing. Shreesha has reached the table edge, but she's not completely off the table. So the next question would be, will it occur to her to use her bonus action to Misty Step further out and get off the table on her turn? So we'll give her the opportunity to at least roll to see if she will Misty Step as well. I think considering she had some difficulty getting through this area, that will make it likely. So the question is, does Shreesha Misty Step as well? Looks like no, she does not. So this will bring up an interesting situation. The Alhoon, which would normally be run by the DM, the DM may decide to give that Alhoon one parting shot before she leaves the table completely. But then the player could argue back that she had reached her victory condition, so that's not fair. So you can use these dice to decide what the DM would do. Let's figure that out first. So let's learn a little bit about our DM. With no stacking one way or the other, let's ask the question, is the DM aggressive and competitive? Yes, the DM is aggressive and competitive. So we could say that starting here with no stacking, the DM might get one more. So let's roll that and see if the DM takes another shot, that parting shot, at Shreesha before she leaves the table. Looks like yes. So if the Alhoon is going to attempt to shoot Shreesha right here, this forested area here is going to give her some kind of cover. So let's roll to see if she gets full cover. There's a pretty good chance, so we'll put an extra die in there, I guess. Yes, she does. Alright, if Shreesha gets full cover, that's going to kind of foil the Alhoon's plan here. So let's roll to find out if the Alhoon changes from Arcane Bolt to Wall of Force. And the idea being that he could either put a straight wall in front of her and block her from leaving, or a hemispherical dome. And we will roll to find out which configuration of the wall he ends up using if he ends up casting that instead. So let's roll to see. Again, I think there's going to be a decent chance, a little better than not, that he's going to switch and cast Wall of Force. Well, he does not cast Wall of Force, so he will continue to use the Arcane Bolt, and the only thing that we can do now is find out what she's behind. And this will be kind of random, I suppose. Let's go for the best thing we can think of. Is she behind a rock? And we'll leave it just no probability stack either way. I think we would stack, if it were a tree, we'd stack the probability. But for a rock, like for a big boulder she might be behind, let's try that. Is she behind a big boulder for her total cover? No, she's not. So she's probably behind a tree, which means we can do the same thing we did with the cart, which was we set at 30 hit points with a damage threshold of 15. Now a tree is going to be a lot stronger than the cart was, so let's just randomly set at the hit points for the tree at 60 and maybe the damage threshold at maybe 30. That's what I'm thinking. 30 or 25. Is the damage threshold 30? No. Okay, so we'll set the damage threshold at 25, and we'll see what happens here. So the Arcane Bolt has a +8 to hit the tree, and then 8d6 force damage, and then we'll have to do improvised damage like we did for the cart. And if she wants to hold her invisibility, she'll have to roll her con save. The DC will be 10 or half the damage, whichever is higher. And if she takes improvised damage, we'll use 2d10. And if the Alhoon manages to destroy the tree, which it won't, well, it gets 2 shots, but it's going to be pretty tough. So 2d10 at minimum, and then if the Alhoon happens to somehow really make a mess out of that tree, almost destroy it or whatever, we could give 3d10 for improvised damage. All right, well, the big tree that Shreesha's behind is not going to be hard for the Alhoon to hit, so we'll set the AC at maybe 10. See how this goes. It's the +8. All right, so that'll hit the tree. Then we need to do 8d6 force damage on the tree. All right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's a 3. Now we gotta do the second shot. The Arcane Blast has, or the Alhoon has double attack. Oh, there it goes. It is a 12, so that will hit. And now 8 more d6 for damage. $47 total. The tree had 60 hit points, so the Alhoon does not destroy the tree outright. So here's the thing. The first attack did 23 damage. The second attack did 24 damage, which is a pretty considerable amount of damage overall to the tree if it were to have gone through. We had set a damage threshold of 25, so both rolls failed to meet or exceed 25. So none of that damage goes through. It ends up just being a superficial damage to the tree both times. And so I suppose you could say there might be some shrapnel damage, maybe have her roll a d10. But it's not going to matter because she has 38 hit points remaining. So I'm just going to let it go. So all that's left for the bad guys are these gnolls over here. It's only been about 12 seconds or 15 seconds total since this guy here got blasted down to 1 hit point. So he's not going to be real interested in heading back. Let's see if this guy can talk him into kind of heading back to their positions. Definitely not. So that's going to take care of the bad guy's turn. And then we will remove this, which means next episode, the 2 heroes will enter along this board edge here. In the meantime, Shreesha is going to be able to leave. She'll be first in the next round. So she's going to be able to leave and move off this table and move on her way. This guy's too slow to chase her. And he's too far behind if he drops to the ground and tries to pursue her on foot. So I guess he could go over and get on the horse. That's an interesting thing we could roll on too. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you next episode.